Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we've got Sally here, and she's working in a nursery for very young children, and she's just going to give her opinion from an employee's point of view. So nice to have you here today, Sally. Can you just, I know we've talked a lot, can you just recap on your feelings about what you see in the nursery, in the age group, and just generally like that, please?
I think as I work with an age group of children varying from 3 months all the way to 5 years, you do see a various amount of parenting stills towards different age groups. So the older the children get, the more the parents tend to care, which is strange, as you would considerably think. It'd be the younger children that get more attention from the parents and more care. Whereas we have children coming from the age of 3 months with parents not really knowing what they're meant to be doing, and we appear to be more of an actual parent to them than what they actually are themselves, which is quite a strange thing to think that we have members of staff that are from the age of 16 looking after a 3-month-old baby, which I think is quite, I wouldn't want to say ridiculous, as everyone has different circumstances, of course, to go into childcare, but to think that you carry your baby for 9 months to just straight away put him into a nursery at 3 months old, I think that's pretty sad.
What kind of mums are these, or parents are these? As in, are they career mums? What kind of?
We have, surprisingly, most of them are actually single mums.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and they're all very upper class.
So they're career mums and single?
Yes.
And upper class. I didn't think they'd be single.
No, yeah.
You never think of those people.
No.
Okay.
It's like they're a little clique and they all have appeared at the nursery in the same bracket.
Okay. So do you know, is it a case like they're having, maybe they're surrogate mums?
Maybe. I mean...
So I knew a nanny, and she said she was looking after the child, and the woman wasn't really very attached to the child, but it turns out it was a surrogate child.
Yeah.
The dad was really attached because it was his, but it wasn't really anything to do with the mum. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, we do have one surrogate, which actually has 2 mums, and she was IVF, and she is the most interesting child out of all of the kids that we have there.
Okay.
Like, she's the most outgoing, bubbly, but also puts her head down when she needs to.
Mm-hmm.
And we found the parents are actually together, the 2 mums, and they are the most caring, sweetest mums that we have at the nursery, which is quite crazy to think that the 2 surrogates, apart from all the single mums, are the ones that actually tend to care the most.
Okay. So you don't see any of the dads for the children, none of them ever turn up?
Very rarely.
Okay, that's really interesting. So what have you learned that you wish you knew when you started this job?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I mean, I went into this job with no experience whatsoever, so I knew absolutely nothing when it comes to working with children. And
you haven't done a course or anything?
No.
Okay.
So all I knew was that they cried, they pooed, and needed feeding. So I was like, oh gosh, what am I signing myself up for?
Okay.
I had no idea what I was going to expect. And I really do think that anyone that works in the childcare system in the ages of the early years, so 5 years and under, is really underappreciated, and we're always looked down on. And whenever you think of a teacher, you would never think of a nursery. You always think of a secondary school or a primary school, And I mean, that's the one thing that I never really realised until I worked with it. Especially, even with all this COVID situation, like we've been open the whole of the COVID and all the schools have been closed. But we've remained open and nothing has ever been spoke about us. So I really do think the recognition side to it and appreciation is the one thing that I wish I knew before I started.
Would that have had an impact on you taking up the job?
In some sense, I think yeah, because it's always nice to feel appreciated in whatever you do. Even in like the job you're doing now, when someone finishes the ride, they'll always say thank you. And that lets them know that they're thanking you for your service. We don't get any of that. Like nothing. So it makes us think, are we doing a bad job to not get that, or?
Okay, that's interesting. You spoke about, but for someone who's just fallen into the job, let's say,
Yeah.
you've learned a lot because you were speaking. I wonder if you can recap about the things that you should know about your child, from allergies to their favourite colour. Do you want to recap on that?
So we obviously do a massive intensive safeguarding courses, and one of our, obviously you have all types of abuse that can happen within children. You have the verbal, you have the physical, you have the emotional, you have all of it. But then also you have the basics of signing forms when your kids join nursery, such as dietary requirements, what allergies they have, if they're allergic to plasters, for example. Like that's a big one, plasters, when it comes to latex.
Okay.
Because obviously we can't use certain gloves for certain children. And if you're signing away saying your child isn't allergic to strawberries, we are always going to give them strawberries, because as far as we know, they're completely healthy towards it. And the minute they come up in an allergy from it, we always have to report it, and we will always have to follow procedures. So just doing the basics of not following a dietary plan for your child can be seen in a form of abuse.
Okay. Well, last question is, what's the impact you want to have on the world?
Oh, that's a tricky one. For me, it'd always have to be, the biggest impact would just have to be seeing the reward that you get from people. From working with a child, seeing them grow up into this like individual, crazy person is amazing. And just seeing that you've made someone worthwhile and happy. Even if I only make one person in my job happy, I will be extremely proud of myself for that.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that.
Thank you very much.
And we wish you well on your journey. We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.